Yeah, hello, welcome to a new video. This will be somewhat different to other videos. It's a 15-minute game, and I'll be playing against my friend Brandon here on Chess Cube. Um, and he will do commentary as well, so we'll have a dual commentary. So you can watch my video and also his video to compare what we both thought about the game. So I'll kick off with e4 here. Let's see what he plays. Plays all kinds of openings, if I'm not mistaken. Aha, French. So should I go for something special? Okay, d4 first. And now, yeah, I'm not sure what line is playing. If I go knight c3, for instance, I'm not sure what he's playing. But okay, let's see. Of course, black's main choices here are knight f6, bishop b4, and taking on e4. Okay, knight f6 he plays. Yeah, now white has two choices, mostly e5 and bishop g5. e5 is maybe the most common move now. Bishop g5 is not bad as well. I'm not quite sure what he's playing. Okay, but let's play e5 and continue with the main line here. If you really don't know so much about an opening and you sort of find yourself playing it, but you know what the main line is, then very often it's a good idea to just play the main line. Don't be afraid that your opponent maybe knows more than you. This is very likely to happen if he's a specialist in the opening. But still, often the main line is just the main line for some reason. So, and often you find it easier to actually find the moves over the board in the main branches than in some sideline. Yeah, black now is at a crossroads. He can play all kinds of moves here. Taking on d4, queen to b6, attacking b2. Can also play a6, bishop e7. I mean, all kinds of moves have been tried. Basically everything that doesn't blunder material, maybe. The choice is in a way also a matter of taste. So he took on d4. And now black usually goes bishop c5, trying to complete development and prepare kingside castling. Not quite sure if there are some other moves. Yeah, I think queen b6. Queen b6 is also a move. Attacking b2. Okay, he takes on d4. And now bishop c5. Yeah, this line in German it is sometimes called the vacuum cleaner variation because black usually now takes on d4, queen b6, trying to exchange queens even, leading to a very solid position in which white arguably has slightly the better chances, but it's not too big of a problem for black. So black can often defend this kind of position. I mean, queen takes, queen b6 this line. I think white even can try to sacrifice with queen d2. I think Kasparov played this in a game, but I'm not too sure about the consequences. Yeah, but what else could black do? Black could, of course, play a move like castles or a6. a6 often to prevent to prepare a b5. But if you take on d4, you should really continue with this simplification policy of taking again and queen b6. Otherwise, this exchange was a bit early. Okay, so can I now take advantage of this that he took so early? Not sure. Long castles would be the normal move. But white can also play stuff like g3 bishop g2, which is also not bad at all. Yeah, try this quite solid way of playing. Long castles, as mentioned, is also fine. Long castle often involves those kind of race situations where black plays b5, b4, advances his queen side, and white pushes g4, h4, g5, h5, and so on. Kind of similar to a Sicilian defense, where white pushes on the king side and black on the queen side. And this g3, bishop g2 setup is more of a positional way to play with white, or a strategical way if you want, because white will castle short and try to prove that still black has this bishop on c8, which is not the greatest piece. So bishop g2 now. I'm not quite sure if I should play a move like a4 maybe to prevent b5 even, but b5 can also be a loosening move, weakening black's queen side in the long run. So I'll just continue with the normal bishop g2 here. So what should black do now? I guess b5 would be the normal kind of move. What I need to be cautious of here is sorry, a maneuver like knight b6 to c4, because this bishop is on g2 now, and it doesn't cover the c4 square anymore. So knight on c4 would be a quite annoying piece. So I need to be aware of that. Okay, now he took. And f6. Interesting. Okay, check first if I have some tactics going. Stuff along the lines of knight d5, but this shouldn't work. I like a move here. Maybe if I would have would have gotten long castles, and then even then maybe sacrifice would work. Okay, what I don't want is, after let's say castles, that he takes on e5 and I need to recapture with a pawn. This e5 pawn can be a constant source of worry, so I grab on f6 here. And now it's the question how he wants to set up his pieces. In this kind of structure you also see the benefit of g3, as g3 nicely covers f4. He doesn't have any direct threat against the f4 pawn. Let's say after queen f6, yeah. After queen f6 I could consider to castle long or play rook d1, a move like this, because f4 is protected. Okay, yeah, what I actually expect queen f6 now. It makes sense, I think, to play this. I mean, rook f6 looks completely weird. How would I mean, black needs to somehow untangle his pieces here. Once he played f6, it's difficult to imagine that he would play b5, because b5, bishop b7 would weaken e6. Okay, so he just recaptured with a knight, and yeah, not bad, of course. So what should I do now? I mean, long castles I don't think makes any sense anymore. So I just castle short here. I have nice control over the center, queen on d4, and this weak square on e5. The only issue here really is my knight on c3. Yeah, this piece is not optimally placed. It would be very nice on d4 or e5. Not quite sure what's better. I mean, d4 is maybe even better, because on d4 the knight would attack e6 really and put some direct pressure on the pawn. On e5 it would be very nice, but it wouldn't attack anything, so very often the knight is better even, yeah, one square closer to white's camp, not on e5. Okay, bishop d7 now. Okay, wants to go maybe rook c8, c4. Of course, I need to calculate here also. A move like f5 is not out of the question. Tactically, f5 takes knight d5, and maybe I have something concrete there. But in fact, he can play bishop c6. Yeah, bishop c6, knight f6, queen f6, and it all sort of evaporates. Okay, so rook c8 to c4. Yeah, that's his idea. Yeah, the question is how to set up the pieces now. I would really like to get a knight on d4, but it's not so easy to accomplish. I would need quite some preparation moves to get this in. The bishop on g2 also is a piece with questionable merit. It puts some pressure on d5, but of course d5 is protected and I cannot really make f5 work here. Rook c4 is really a somewhat annoying move. If you would get this in, and you would need to move the queen b6 with check coming, b2 hanging, and so on. And if I play a move like let's say knight e2 here, he might consider bishop b5. I'm not sure. Maybe I cannot retreat the queen as a prophylactic measure. Don't see a good square. Queen b6 coming. I think I'll play this move here. The rook is good here on the e file. And if he plays rook c8, I'll play bishop f1. Covering c4. And therefore keeping the queen on d4, which is really a strong piece, yeah. I might even regroup the bishop to d3, because on d3 it would cover the c2 pawn also. A sort of ideal configuration would be bishop to d3, knight on d4, and then pile up on e6, because the d3 bishop and the knight on d4 would protect c2, and d3 bishop also covers e4, so that if a knight lands on e4 I can always chop this. Yeah, I like the idea. Bishop f1 to d3. What I need to be cautious of a bit here is the king position. I mean, he's very far away from getting something on my king. I hope, at least. But the bishop on g2 always is a natural defender of the king, and if you move it away to, let's say, d3, you need to be aware of possible counterplay. But at the moment it's not It's not easy to see how black should get something on my king. Yeah, once the bishop is on d3, I can think of maybe queen somewhere. Not quite sure where. Queen f2 is always kicked by knight g4 and then queen b6 check. Yeah. Okay, but maybe I don't really need to move the queen, yeah? It's also... Not sure if this move is really doing much. I mean, queen c5 would be a dream move for me. I mean, okay, this is sort of according to plan. Plays queen c5 now. This would be, I think, a huge positional mistake. You shouldn't exchange queens here. Only question is how should I play then? Queen c5. The issue is if I take on c5, rook c5, knight e2, he might play bishop b5, and I'm not quite sure what this is. But I think it's just good for me, right? Yeah. Well, I think this is a mistake. You shouldn't exchange queens here because I have this disadvantage in the center here and pressure on e6. Knight e2. I was a bit worried about bishop b5 maybe, but I think I can just play knight d4 as a direct answer. And then e6 is attacked 2 times, bishop b5, knight d4. This is a very nice piece configuration then, because the knight on d4 covers c2 all the time and it cannot be dislodged from d4. He has no pawn move or anything to get rid of the knight once it is on d4. So I don't think he has any means to prevent knight d4 now. Knight d4, and then I'll start piling up on e6, and he's got no counterplay at all. Black is certainly able to defend these e6, but it's a very passive position. Moves like rook e8, king f7 and so on would protect e6. But it's just a very one-sided affair where black doesn't have any play at all. Yeah, this is the kind of position you don't want to have in the French defense. This kind of pawn structure with d5 and e6, where the pawns cannot move, I cannot move the pawns, is always tricky for black. Now that I think of it, I know I was just briefly thinking maybe e5 would be an idea, but it's not working at all. Okay, so if I would take now, he can take with the rook and actually win a tempo on b2. So I play here. And if he takes on d3 now, c takes d3. This is a great pawn configuration. Yeah, it looks like white has weakened his pawns, but the pawn on d3 is just great because it covers e4. e4 is my main weakness here in this position. The knight is always sort of threatening to go to e4. So it's very good often to have a pawn transferred from c2 to d3 to cover the sensitive square. And if you look at this queenside configuration with c takes d3, knight d4, black has no entry point. The knight on d4 protects c2, and rook on c5 cannot go to b5. It's sort of fortress-like. Yeah? He cannot do anything on the queenside, and in the meantime I'll just pile up on e6. In this concrete position, e6 is even lost immediately. So this is actually close to being lost here, I think. Bishop b5, simply the position couldn't stand. Black could have defended passively with rook e8, king f7 and moves like this. It's no fun, but the game would continue. Yeah, and now e6 is hanging 2 times and he cannot protect it. And the most important is he's got no counterplay, nothing. This knight on d4 is just yeah, the French defense's nightmare, so to say. Always like this. The knight is a nightmare. Yeah, well, black cannot do much. It's only choices now to look how to sacrifice the pawn now. Okay, so this is actually a good idea. Because if I take, he might enter on c2. Yeah, good idea. Didn't really appreciate that. Okay, but it's I thought rook c1, but he could take and play e5. This is maybe somewhat tougher than I thought. So, but let's say I play rook e2, yeah? Covering the second rank and play rook e1 and then take with the knight on e6. This should be right, okay? Rook e2. Yeah, this should be okay. Okay, king f7, rook e1, and it's not defendable. And if he goes, let's say rook c7 now, I can also take e6. Rook e7, rook e1. If he takes the knight with yeah, rook e1 now. Yeah, I should be able to take it next move with the knight. Basically just knight e6 and return to d4, so that I keep this extra pawn and still have the second rank covered. Yeah, he's getting very low on time here. Very unusual for my games that I'm so ahead on time. He really needs to move now, otherwise it will get useless this game, because he cannot manage the time. e6 is gone now, I think. It's a bit of a shame that the clock is running down, because I think the technical part of the game would have been still instructive. Yeah, I can just ignore this. Okay, so knight e6 now, right? Yeah, it should be okay. So I can actually win another pawn, yeah? Knight g5. He needs to protect e8, and so I can take h7 now. So I guess this looks quite enough. So take now. Do I have something better even? Okay, knight here and rook d4, knight d4. 2 extra pawns and still the overwhelming structure. Yeah, just king f3 and push the pawns. Yeah, time loss. But okay, this is manageable. King to f3 and, well, g4, f5, h4 and so on. 2 extra pawns. And still note the great central configuration. It's something you need to really yeah, appreciate that this knight on d4, pawn on d3 is a very nice configuration against the pawn on d5, as those squares, usually controlled by the pawn, are protected by d3, and this knight is sort of keeping it all together. Yeah, I still hope you enjoyed the game, and I'll also post the link in the description, maybe somewhat later, not sure. Check it to have the comments here of Brandon, the black player, on his channel. Yeah, thanks for watching, and talk to you soon in a new video.